Hey everyone, welcome to the 7/8ths, a podcast to share stories on failures and rejections. There may not be any fairy tale endings in this podcast. My guests aren't past the mountain of struggle. In fact, some of them might still be in it. I hope this podcast serves as a forum for friends and acquaintances to exchange tales of defeat. Defeat that make the 7/8ths part of our lives. You know, like the part of the iceberg that you can see. By sharing these stories, I hope we can all normalize failures and hence win over that fear of defeat. Because failing is just a part of living. I hope you will relate. Do leave me a note of feedback, and critique is welcome as well. You can find me on Twitter at FamNectar. Now, on to our episode. Welcome to episode 9 of the 7/8ths. In this episode, we are talking to Jay Jayaraman, the founder and CEO of Mylapore Cloud Kitchen. This is a different kind of conversation. We talked at length about Jay's restaurant, Mylapore, and his cloud kitchen initiative, Mylapore Express. Many of us might know Jay through his social media persona, his pictures of sumptuous breakfast at the restaurant, shots of his mom's handwritten recipes in Tamil, screenshots of his customers' appreciation messages, mesmerizing videos of the peeling of 100 pounds of potatoes at one time, or pictures of steaming hot biryani. You get the drift. His enthusiasm for food and the relentless drive to be the best in his business is evident and infectious. But in this conversation, you'll hear the story behind the scenes. He shares his journey, the setbacks that he faced, and how he carries on despite all the struggles. It's time for us to listen in. Let's start with, why did you get into the cloud kitchen business? What was it?
Let me start with why I got into the food business first. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. I always was intrigued by food. I enjoy food. And I think I was 9 or 10 when my uncle and aunt, they just stopped by and there was nobody at home. I made them sit down and I quickly made rava upma for them. And my uncle, his remark was, one day you'll become a chef. I can see that. I had no clue there was a word called chef that even existed at that point. My parents were hell-bent upon me doing engineering. I didn't want to fall into the same routine of school, college, engineering. I wanted to do something very different. There was an article in one of those career magazines. The cover page had the graduates of Oberoi School of Hotel Management, tasting soup and whatnot. I said, you know what? I want to do this. I want to get into the hotel management program. When my mom said, I really wish you the best, but remember one thing, you cannot be an also-ran kind of a person. You need to do something where you will become one of the best. You will leave a mark one day. So if you focus on these things, I don't have a problem you joining the course in hotel management. So that's how my hotel management career began back in the year 1982. So when I got into this, I didn't even know of the term cloud kitchen.
Yeah.
The cloud kitchen is a more recent phenomenon.
Yeah. Thanks to Travis. Were there times during your college days where you struggled, where you wondered if this was the right thing for you to be doing?
Never. Those 3 years were so much of fun. I started my first shot at being an entrepreneur when I was in college. It was in the second year in college. Have you heard of this place called the Cholamandal Art Village?
Yes.
The Cholamandal Art Village is somewhere near the VGP beach. So we were told that there's going to be an art exhibition there, and the students of Madras Catering College can have their own stalls there, food stalls there.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was looking at making biryani and whatnot. I, along with the two of my friends, I pitched the idea saying, you know what, you got to be different. You cannot do what everybody does. Let's go a little different. We're going to do poli.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do tattai,
Mm-hmm.
murku,
Mm-hmm.
and filter coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge hit. Right? Our stall was the most successful stall there. It was so much of fun, and probably that planted a seed in my mind that I am not going to be a salaried employee. I want to do something. I want to start my own business.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's where the seeds of entrepreneurship were probably sowed. I came into this country in the year 1997. I was working for the state of California for a brief while. Everything was going fantastic. Then one day morning, I woke up and I saw the Twin Towers burning.
Oh, yes.
9/11, 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Then within a week's time, we get a notice saying that the project is shelved. You don't have a job at the state of California project anymore. Spandan Patel, my mentor from Bombay Bistro, calls me and says, I'm looking for a manager.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a waiter.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a sommelier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a dishwasher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a busboy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for a prep cook. I'm looking for all these qualities in one person. Can you do all these things? And I will pay you $6 an hour.
What?
So I was thanking my stars, saying, wow, I am getting hired. Said, definitely.
Wait, $6 an hour?
Yeah. So I used to be the waiter serving the restaurant full of almost 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
Then I started a catering business from home where you make your own rice. This model, what we do right now, started then. We give you the sambar, rasam, and kuttu and curry. You make the rice at home. So my wife used to cook, and I used to deliver. I would say Mylapore Express was born partly at that time because that formula worked. That worked great. And then, very close friend, she said, Jay, when are you starting a restaurant? I said, Uma, are you crazy? I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I don't want to be stressing out.
But you did open Mylapore.
Heart of heart, I always wanted to own a restaurant, but I was not ready to commit. I was not ready to take that shot. Here's a very important thing I want to share with your listeners. The fear of failure is what stops anyone from getting into anything they want to achieve. So when you start a restaurant, the first thing that comes into your mind is, what if it fails?
Yes.
So my criteria for choosing a location was completely different because of this fear of failure. I didn't want to go too big. I wanted to have a small restaurant, which is manageable, where the rents are cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be in a prime locality because I felt if your food is good, people will find you.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at this restaurant, which was about 1,500 square feet, and the rents were very reasonable. So August of 2008, I signed a contract. The way Mylapore was launched was not the right way.
What was terrible about the first day?
The first day there was a line out the door. I cringe even today on how I handled that first day. Terrible. Terrible about the first day. Huge learning. Don't offer the whole 9 yards on the first day. You are putting a lot of pressure on yourself. The people are coming to feel you out. Put your 5 or 6 best dishes on that day. Something's easy to make. Do not offer them every single thing under the sun. So if we do a product launch today, it's a very soft launch, first of all. Soft launch is always better. And also limited product offerings. If your menu runs into like 5 pages, just give them a sample of what your food looks like. So as soon as we open the restaurant, within a month, you have this whole mortgage crisis, the real estate crisis.
Oh my God, yes.
Right? 2008.
I mean, I can almost see the passion in you and hear the passion in your voice that you have for food. You had just opened a restaurant, but you were dealing with 2008, the mortgage meltdown. Back then, it was a situation where people were losing jobs, and once income losses happen, then eating at a restaurant is not going to be a priority. How did you even get through that crisis?
So, crisis, pandemics, these are all the time when Mylapore and Mylapore branches are all born. It was very difficult. And it was extremely stressful. The restaurant business has so many moving parts in it. And you need to have nerves of steel to be in the restaurant business. Somebody's fallen down and broken their hip. Somebody's cut their finger. Somebody didn't show up. You have a health inspection that's going on. You have employees that didn't show up. You have a software that's malfunctioning. You have water backups in the kitchen, and your refrigerator and your walk-in coolers and your freezers always go bad on a weekend.
Oh, good God.
Right? So there's so many moving parts. It's very stressful to run. You're on the move 24/7, literally speaking. Your mind is always preoccupied.
Yeah.
So when the chips are down, double down. When you look back at it 20 years from now, you will see that you took the right decision. If you have the passion, if you have the drive, if you think you have the right idea, don't fear. Just go with it.
But in life, no matter how passionate we get about the choices we make, many of us at the first misstep, the second misstep, the third misstep, we start questioning, is this the right thing for us to do? Were you there at those points?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What did you do? What did you do? What did you do which told you continue down this path, Jay?
The starting any business, more so the restaurant business, is like catching a tiger by the tail. I always tell this to people. You've caught the tiger by the tail. You cannot leave it. It's going to eat you. You got to move on. You signed the lease for 5 years. You've got to make this work. The free rent period was over. And the rent was $4,100. And I barely had $2,000 in the bank. I called Spandan.
I'm sorry, Jay, if this is really hard to talk again.
I said, Spandan, I have this lease payment coming up. I don't know what to do. What do you think I should do? So what he said, just talk to your landlord, the building owners. So Spandan said, just sit with him, explain to him what's happening, and asking for a few more months of free rent.
Mm-hmm.
He can say no. He can say yes. It's a 50-50. Take the shot.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the shot. He said, okay, no problem. We'll give you 3 more months of free rent. Every day was a struggle. The daily sale was barely $350. $350 an entire day. Your rent is $140 a day. $350 was the entire sale of the entire day. I still have those credit cards, settlement slips, which remind me of the path that I've come through. Then slowly I started building a team. The team executed, and we were only focusing on one thing: quality, quality, quality. I'm really thankful for the support that the people in and around Sacramento have given us. Today, when our restaurant is absolutely shut down because of the coronavirus pandemic, and a lot of people order Mylapore Express,
Mm-hmm.
and they tell me that they just can't wait to go back to the restaurant.
In spite of the struggles, the daily struggles that you had with Mylapore, I'm going to use the words that you used. Right? You decided to double down and start Mylapore Express. Why? It's a struggle. Like running a restaurant business is a struggle. And adding a catering service or a cloud kitchen on top of that, what pushed you to do Mylapore Express?
10 years after opening Mylapore, we kind of mustered the courage to open Mylapore 2 in a different city. The food was amazing. People loved it. The Yelp reviews are fantastic. We had a 4.6 out of 5. And but there's no business. When I'm ready to write my paychecks, it's always a struggle. Okay, I don't have money in the bank. How long can I survive like this?
Mm-hmm.
Another 5-year lease. I can't
Yeah.
get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So I came back to the restaurant. I asked my chef, hey, here's what I want to do. We're going to create a menu. We're going to, I'll take care of getting customers. It's not a problem. I messaged, emailed, WhatsApp. Quickly, I got 25 customers. I have quite a lot of contacts in the Bay Area. So we all decided we'll do a meal. Came up with a really good menu for the first debut on 11th of February 2018. So we met in the parking lot there, and 25 families picked up food. Mylapore Express was an accident. Month number 1, we had about 30, 40 orders for the entire month. Month number 2, it became 60, 65.
Mm-hmm.
Month number 3 became 80, 85. Month number 4, we crossed 100. Month number 5, we crossed 125. Now, when you're growing so rapidly, there also comes a time when you see the quality is deteriorating.
Yeah.
The 150, 160 orders that I was taking every month, I said, I'm not going to take this much. I need to slow down. I need to warm up a little bit and then slowly start ramping up. So I cut the ordering from 160 to 80. Let me execute it. I started documenting every single thing. Every single thing I started documenting. Okay, how many cases of beans do I need to make this much of usuli? How many cases of beans do I need to make this particular dish? How much of tamarind do I need to make this much of sambar? And every single thing is getting documented. And I firmly believe this was destined to happen only because today I have a firm grip on what is happening. I know every single thing in my restaurant. I have done it at least once or twice, including delivering food. When I go do these things myself, I understand what kind of problems my employees face.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me
So
about what you felt when you scaled back. When you scaled back from having two restaurants to having one restaurant and pivoting. Was that hard? Did that feel
actually,
like you were
no,
a failure?
no. Let me tell you this. So everything in your life happens for a reason. The people you meet, the guy that cooked a delicious North Indian meal 20 years ago for me in Bombay Bistro, looking for a job, said, come on over. I will hire you anytime. So what happened was when Nirmal came in, our offerings doubled from South Indian to North Indian. And I sent a message to all the customers saying that for those of you that are skeptical about ordering North Indian food from a South Indian restaurant, I'll give you a money back guarantee. You just order North Indian food from this week.
Mm-hmm.
And people simply loved it. So when Nirmal said, Jay Bhaiya, do you remember Swaran? I said, yeah, he used to be in the kitchen with you. He's also looking for a job. I said, come on, bring him over. So Swaran Singh comes on board. I tell him, Swaran, I know you're capable of cooking excellent North Indian food. But if I train you in South Indian food, are you willing to learn? I said, yes. Swaran Singh is a fast learner. Today, when somebody calls and says the Kira Molagutal was amazing, the Elimishambada Rasam was super, I said, Sardar Swaran Singh made it.
I've seen those posts. I've seen those blog posts.
I became profitable overnight. I was cash flow positive for the first time. So problems means opportunities.
It is very heartening to hear that, Jay.
Life is a learning process. Every day is a challenge. Nothing comes easy in life. As long as you're ready to face challenges and have nerves of steel, you can survive in any business. When I look back 25 months ago, what happened? This was all scripted. Everything happens for a certain reason. Just go with the flow. Just don't question it. Why me? Don't ask why me. You've been chosen for a certain reason.
Thank you, Jay. You have looked at failures as events for redirecting you, maybe because you firmly believe that the plan has already been made and you are where you are because that's what you're meant to do. So a setback hasn't really been in the true sense of the word, a setback for you. You've almost framed it, and it has worked. It has worked so far. You've almost reframed it and re-looked at it with the lens of a pivot, a gentle guidance in the direction that you're meant to go. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day.
And that's how the cookie crumbles. Talking to Jay made me appreciate even more what the hospitality industry is giving for all of us. It was evident in our conversation how when the world wanted to have fun is when he had to work the hardest. I saw how he re-looked at struggles in his life as opportunities to double down on his strengths. I loved how he viewed setbacks as rather course corrections to the right path. I learned how he absorbed his setbacks and bounced back through hard work and strong belief in self. Most importantly, he reminded me not to ask, why me? There is a lesson always waiting at the end of every failure. And to try some of Jay's delicious food please do visit mylapurexpress.com. That's MYLAPORE express.com. Thank you for listening to this episode. Do share your thoughts. I am on Twitter @FemNectar. Until the next conversation. Cheers, guys.